Hi, I'm Jan-Cees Korteland. I'm powerboat racer for the Vehicule racing team, and I want to show you around our newest project, which is the Fjordling. The complete name is the Fjordling 17 hardtop, or HT, produced by Fjord, Scandinavian boat brand, and designed by Jan Herman Linge, which is quite a famous boat designer from that era. And a lot of his boat designs you can recognize for the type of boat ending on ling, like the Fjordling, but there's also a Meckling and a Musling, and a lot of boats from the brand Windy are from his pen. And he also made a lot of sailing boats, so he's quite a famous and well-known designer. And he also made the Fjordling. You've seen them around on the internet. Driving around with massive horsepower, and when it was designed in the 60s, it wasn't designed for that much horsepower. It was designed as a fishing boat. All boats are also built in that era, so if you find a Fjordling, it's easily 60 years old. So it's literally grandpa's old fishing boat. But it didn't take long before the Scandinavians found out it really drives well with a lot of horsepower. You need to adjust and strengthen the transom, of course, but it handles it pretty well. And they did, so it's not a thing from the last few years that people are running around these boats with a lot of horsepower, but they did it in the 70s already. Biggest horsepower you could find at that moment was the OMC Evinrude or Johnson 235 horsepower outboard, which is still a pretty massive engine. And they use it to race test these kind of boats. But the thing is, what makes it so special, because it like I said, it looks like Daddy's old fishing boat or Grandpa's old fishing boat. Well, the hardtop is one thing, of course, built for shelter. And there's also a version without the hardtop, which has completely exactly the same hull, but without the hardtop. You don't see them a lot. Most of them have the hardtop. But when Linge was working on his prototype, he discovered that it could be a bit more stable, especially when it was lying still for fishing. When people were walking around, it rolled a bit too much for his idea. So what he did, lengthwise of the boat, if this is the front and this is the transom, on the keel, he made an opening, so the part of the keel came off, which made it a tunnel, and then the keel came back. So the tunnel filled itself with water. When it was lying still, the backside was open, and when you drove away, the water came out. Which is a really genius idea to make a boat a lot more stable when it's lying still. The problem is that part of the boat is the part you run on, and it doesn't really matter if you have like 60 horsepower or something. But if you drive to 300 or 400, you want the most solid hull you can imagine, and not a hull with a tunnel and the part on it. Although it looks the same, it's not straight. Because of the tunnel, it has a little bit of bending in the boat, which could make the boat a bit unpredictable in behavior. But most of the boats built, most of the Fjordlings built, have that tunnel. There are a few examples of the inboard or stern drive version, which, because of the low center of gravity, didn't need the tunnel, which are produced without tunnel. And this is one of those. They're very hard to find. I think there are only a few around. And the big advantage is that the hull is straight, the keel isn't bended, and the angle of the transom is a bit different, which makes it a lot more stable. Because when you drive a Fjordling at full speed, you drive it on its ass. So a lot of boat out of the water, which makes it really fast. And the design of the boat, which makes it really stable, really strong, makes it capable of lifting it out of the water. So that's the design of the boat in that case. let me show you around a bit more inside. So here inside I just started by getting all the things out, strip it as much as possible. I found this boat in a barn in Germany. It was standing there for 30 years. There was a guy on holiday a long time ago in Scandinavia and he saw those races with the Fjordlings and he thought, I'm going to do that. So he bought one, an inboard, maybe just a bit of by coincidence, but I'm happy he bought the inboard version. And he started rebuilding it, but unfortunately the guy got sick and died. So he never finished his project and it standed in the barn for like 30 years or something. So it was stored dry, for which I'm happy. He started with the wooden structure and he didn't use the right wood, but for now I just kept it in, keep a bit of strength in the boat for when we start working on it. So let's get inside. So everybody wants to know what will be the plan with this Fjordling. So of course we are planning to make it badass. So we will get the transom out. There will be a splash well for the outboard, so we can use a big horsepower. I think I'm going to reveal you what the ideas for the engines are. I have a few configurations on my mind. The first one, let's start from less favorite to most favorite. The first one, less favorite, but still cool, will be the Yamaha 250 VMAX SHO, which is a really beautiful engine to see, I think. It's a fast engine, it's lightweight, it has 250 horsepower, but it's standard a bit tuned, I think close to 280, maybe even 300 horsepower. You can tune it with a Nispro kit to 332 horsepower. You can even put a supercharger on it to get it to 450. But what it has, I think the big advantage is that it has quite a narrow gear case. It's a small boat, it will be lifted much out of the water, so only the back end of the boat will be in the water and the gear case. So the biggest point of drag is your gear case. And if you want the boat lifted, you need a bit of gear case underwater to get it lifted. So the smaller it is, the better it will drive. As you know, Mercury has the Sportmaster gear cases with the nose on it. Those only work when the nose is skiffing like a water ski over the water, which makes it less drag. But in a boat like this, if the gear case is going to water ski, to make it easy to understand, it will always lift the gear case, so it will put the nose down. So you only want gear cases that can be a bit inside of the water, under the water line, and the Sportmaster gear case will be just full of drag when you put it too low in the water. So for Mercury you have like the Torquemaster gear case, which is quite a bit smaller and easy to use when it's a bit lower in the water. So if we switch over to the Mercury, it would be with a gear case like that, or the traditional version maybe a bit customized. Which makes me going to the next engine, which is a Mercury. A really cool engine in my opinion. This is the Promax 300X, a 3-liter 2-stroke EFI, no direct injection, just EFI, producing out of the factory 310 horsepower, maybe a bit more. It's just a cool engine. They're hard to find. They're also quite reliable, but a lot of them have a big history with races or abuse. So it's hard to find a right one, but it's not that it's impossible. So let's have a look to see if we can find an engine like that. But I have to say there are some guys who already tried it with that engine, so it will be a cool setup, but nothing special because somebody else already did it. Then we go to the number 2, which is my almost favorite. That is the Mercury Racing 400 ROS, and it's the engine which I use myself in the XCAT class. So it's literally the XCAT engine. Those are almost impossible to find, but I have the connections to find one. And it's a short shaft inline 6, 400 horsepower, 2.6 liter, 4-stroke supercharged. So it's quite a massive engine, but due to the very short midsection, which is only 10-inch, we have a very compact engine with a low center of gravity. It has an open exhaust, which makes a really cool noise. Nothing compared to a V8 inboard or the 2 strokes with open exhaust. It really sounds like an airplane, and that's quite cool. Like I said, I would need to adjust the gear case to another shape, but that's nothing special for me to do. So that's number 2. And then I come to my dream setup, which I know it's never been done. For the 400 ROS, it's also never been done, but I know someone who is going to do it. So if I do the ROS, let's see who's first. But my favorite setup hasn't done before. I know it's going to be a hard challenge, but I think it will work. And that will be putting on 2 outboards, and especially the 2x200 Mercury XS, which are the Optimax engines. You can get them in a short shaft 15-inch or a low center of gravity. You can put them really close together. And those have the Sportmaster gear cases, so I have to come back to that. If you have 2 engines, the engine will be to the side, of course, or else it wouldn't fit. Would be a bit higher in the water, so we can use the skiffing of the gear cases in this case. And to get the boat out of the water, you have 2 propellers, so you can have double the bow lift of the extra propeller in the water. So you can use that to get the boat out. You can even play with the rotation of the engines, so left, right, so outward rotation or inward rotation to adjust the balance in the nose of the boat. So that's my dream setup. Building it with 2 racing outboards, which will look pretty badass. Also, those engines are hard to find. At the moment, they're still used in a lot of race classes. They're not being produced anymore, so all the racers who use it are collecting all the parts, all the engines, that kind of things. But very soon they will step over to 4-stroke engines in all those classes, and then those engines, not that they're worthless or useless, but they will be for sale. So there's quite a chance to find a good pair on that, and even with some spare parts. So not in a hurry, but that's my dream for now. We have a look inside the boat. I'll put the camera. No, I'll keep the camera. We have a look inside the boat. We have the cockpit here in front, and normally you would put your steering wheel here, and you will sit here. What we will do, also because it's a short boat with a lot of horsepower, what kind of engine we will choose anyway, it will always be massive. So to keep the balance of the boat as good as possible, we're going to put things like batteries, if you have trimming pumps, all the hardware in the front of the boat. So we keep the backside empty, put everything in the front. We're going to put a fuel tank here in the bottom of the boat, as low as possible, and you have to calculate what the right position would be. And we're going to make a dashboard in the front of the boat, so we'll be inside the cockpit of the hardtop, as we are in an XCAT or any other offshore closed canopy racing boat. So we'll be sitting in the front. We have some ideas on it. First of all, if you sit here and you have a nosedive, you just will be lying there somewhere in the cockpit, having a hard time to come out. If you sit in the front, you're already inside the cockpit. You can make a board or something to put your feet on, but also to keep you there if you have a nosedive. Seat belts aren't an option, because if you flip the boat, you have to get out. And with the seat belt, with a completely submerged boat, because the water will come inside directly, you will drown for sure. So no seat belts. We're going to put the seats as close together as possible. In the middle will be the throttles, so we can put the throttle man set up. We're also going to switch, so we can shut off the throttles in the middle, and the driver can use the foot throttle. So if you have a non-experienced person next to you, you can do all the operation yourself. But if you are with a team, you can do the throttle man drive setup like in an offshore boat. Like I said, seats close as possible together, so you can easily step in and out from the side. Also, if you have something going on, like a crash or a flip, you're out easily. Safety feature is the type of life vest you will use. It's important to have a non-automatic inflatable jacket, so you can inflate it if you wish, not when it's getting wet, because if you're in a cockpit and your vest inflates, you will not get out. So if you're in a cockpit with an inflatable automatic vest, you will flip the boat, the water inside will activate the vest and you will never get out because you're like in the nose of the boat stuck. So no automatic vest. If you use an inflatable vest, it's the manual version, or a cockpit vest, which we use in the XCAT boats, which is a very thin vest, has just enough floatability to get you swimming out, but also if you relax, you float. So that's the most important, and it doesn't have any parts which can be stuck between some parts that are here. So it's the most safe to have the right stuff, and I think it's a good idea to wear a helmet in this boat, even if you drive it on the limit. So this dashboard will be out to get the easy access. This will be a working spot. In the backside we'll do it a bit different. This will be open, and we're going to use benches like in an old aircraft, a military aircraft, which are aluminium pipes with just nets in it, so you can sit, and if you don't sit, you flip it up. So we have the space here, and we'll make it sure so we have a lot of space to set some cargo in. So we'll put the ice in the floor also, with so we can take a bike or a big cooler or something with us. So make it something crazy. And also have the idea to use the roof with a ski rack, so we can put some skis on the top of the roof. Not that we're going to use it, but just looks cool. And there's going to be an air scoop like a rally car to get some fresh air inside of the cockpit, because you don't have any wind. So let's get out and I'll show you something more. Okay, as I mentioned before, the hardtop is normally with some bolts attached. We will laminate it directly to the boat, so it will be one piece, because if you make a nosedive or something, the whole thing will normally be ripped off, with a lot of risks of injuring yourself when you're in a boat like this. So it will be one piece with the boat. We also have to make an idea for the windows. Normally there are windows in rubbers just inside, but if you have a crash, the windows will come out directly. So maybe we'll find a solution with plexiglass or something, and maybe even something just all folded around, so we have this as support, so it doesn't collapse inside if you have some issues. So we'll have to think about a good idea for that. But we have the time. We want to do it good. We want to do it something really special. So it will take a lot of time. It will also not be cheap. But water sports aren't cheap. So every hobby you have which is related to powerboat racing it's unfortunately expensive. But that's the idea we have. Make it a combination of grandpa's old fishing boat with an offshore closed canopy cockpit and two massive outboards on it.